And we are underway. AliGerBrap on the left-hand side of your screen, that looks like a Dragon Warrior 3 Sage, I believe, as right-hand side of your screen. He's working with the Dragon Warrior 4 hero. These opening 2 chests in the throne room, a torch, and an herb. So perhaps some ammunition here for the start. And they will get that key from behind the throne, and because they have the spell of return, they'll cast that to save that key. And it seems likely that they will check the treasury to see if they can get some assistance with this start. But actually, Ali's just taken the field here. He's going to keep that key for the time being. Looks like Azrael's going to save this, possibly check the treasury. But a Drakey on 5 power, a difficult ask. You're actually going to miss about 67% of the time. This is one of those values where the defense and the attack power converge to create a lot of misses against an enemy like this. We do have in the Tanager Treasury a replacement key, so Azrael's going to get to keep his key, as well as an herb, a fairy water, and some gold. So there will be a gold grind available later in the seed. And you can see just how bad 5 attack power is against a Drakey, because Ali was trying to damage race that with 25 HP and couldn't actually get it to work. Meanwhile, Azrael's going to head to the back door here, having gotten a key out of the treasury. And he's going to purchase some keys. So we'll see how this goes. Depending on how Zone 0 is arrayed with monsters here, this could be a very difficult start for Ali, but there is at least a red slime. So that's interesting. Azrael went into the basement and took a couple of bonks there. I suspect that was either Swamp, possibly Erdrick's cave, and just opted not to dive that at this time. Could be a number of other caves. But here, Ali's going to be the first to level 2, having taken out 3 red slimes, and we'll see what the numbers come in. What the numbers are that come in for this one. 5 power, 1 hit point, 4 magic. Ali relishing the empty eye level. Wow, and the zone boundary must be right in the corner of Tanager Castle, because that's a rogue scorpion about 3 tiles away. So you're gonna want to, both racers are going to want to pay attention to that as the race continues. Azrael now also at level 2, even up on 6 experience points apiece. Ali's going to damage race this Magician. This should be a doable fight on full HP, as long as it doesn't have any abilities, no healing, no powerful attacks. Although, here we go, he's down to 3 HP. He's going to pull an herb, though, so this should be very doable. Interesting that neither racer has used their torch yet. They had that starting torch in the throne room, and it hasn't been thrown yet to do some damage. But Ali is going to take out this Magician, push a little bit closer up to level 3, as we see Azrael getting taken out by a Star Wyvern. So that again, that zone northwest of Tanager Castle could prove quite hazardous. We've already seen a rogue scorpion over there. Here comes Ali's level 3, 4 power, 9 speed, 3 hit points, and a new spell. It is the spell of Hurt. So that will do considerably more damage than the attack power that they have right now at 14. So that will speed up the opening grind a little bit. Azrael now also has level 3. So a little bit of a slow start, but with that pickup of hurt, the experience gathering should increase substantially. It's interesting to note that with, as you see Azrael doing here, since there's a key in the treasury, he can simply go in there, get the key back that he used opening up the door, and in the process collect an herb, another fairy water to use as ammunition perhaps, as well as some gold. Here we see Ali's level 4. That looks like 7 strength, 3 agility, 7 hit points, and 5 magic points. No new spells on level 4. And it looks like this zone to the northwest could indeed be problematic. Ali's going to get level 5 off this Druid, so it's been a back and forth start here. It depends on what encounters you happen to get in this northwest zone, whether or not you're going to have any progress advancing toward this cave, which we still haven't seen, and now Ali is going to get sniped by this Star Wyvern as well. So it might be suitable. We do see a Metal Scorpion here in the zone north of Tandagel. An excellent opponent to see when you have the hurt spell. And Azrael's 1 experience shy of level 5 now as well. So a lot of this opening is going to have to do with some encounter luck here. It depends on whether or not our racers will decide to continue braving that northwest zone to get to that cave, and whether or not they can just happen to get some better encounters on the way there, who will reach it first. But Azrael and Ali appear to have settled into a grind at this point. Azrael definitely looking in that zone north of Tandagel for some more appealing targets.
I don't know why, but I'm always more in favour of exploring than grinding, but that's just me.
Yeah, I think it's situational and people have different play styles. You'll see people do different things. I think part of it has to do with the start, and on a start like this one, sometimes better off taking a few levels just to ensure some survivability. But I think, oftentimes the zones will tell you whether or not you're going to get to explore. If there's some survivable monsters out there, you get to explore a little bit. And if there aren't, then you might have a little bit more of a difficult time and decide to take some levels. But here it looks like Ali is in the grave and has opted not to use his torch here if he still has it. And there is a rogue scorpion on the top floor with stop spell. Is he going to try to hurt race this guy down is the question, and it looks like he's going to give it a shot.
And he failed.
Yeah, it didn't quite work out. Rogue scorpions are okay to see if you have the hurt spell. You can kill them in a couple of shots with hurt, 3 shots in general with the hurt spell, so that can be a decent chunk of experience. We also saw an Azrael side, he took a death to that wolf, had the sleep and weak breath combo. So the enemies have been a little bit inhospitable in the early going.
It would certainly be providing me with frustration if I was doing this scene.
Absolutely. Yeah, this zone, this difficult zone being just to the northwest of Charlock like this, in between you and one of your exploration targets, can be very frustrating. Here we have Azrael taking out that Metal Scorpion, getting to level 6. 11 power, 11 speed, 6 hit points, 3 magic points. Pretty good level, no spells. But that'll definitely help the statistics along.
Another Dracula going down. And a Star Wyvern ends the fun.
Yeah. Those Dracumans are great targets for hurt, but when they're in a zone with some of those other, late game enemies, you're really just trying to pick them off on your way through and hope you don't get the bad stuff. Looks like Azrael's going to be content to try to take level 7 here in this Metal Scorpion zone that's north of Tanagel. Meanwhile, Ali has re-entered the grave, and he's going to get sent right back by that Star Wyvern. This looks like the same zone, actually. There's a Star Wyvern. We've seen a Star Wyvern and a Rogue Scorpion so far in the top floor of Grave. So that's interesting. Ali's had enough. He's heading to the southeast now, and I can't say as I blame him.
Yeah, I was going to say the same thing. I'm sure he'll come back later on and he'll deal with them as they should be dealt with.
Yeah, exactly. If you manage to pocket hurt more or just, get your equipment in order, you can go back and actually exploring Grave at that point becomes profitable from an experience gathering standpoint. But right at the moment, not so much. Looks like Azrael's zone is reasonably good. We know there are those sleep weak breath wolves there. That kind of diminishes the value of that a little bit. And damage racing those metal scorpions with hurt, usually pretty effective even though you're going to take some damage. Ali has collected level 6 now as well, but Azrael's still in the lead by roughly 100 experience points if I recall correctly. And that neighborhood.
This is going to be one of those where they get leveled to the level they want to be, and then they can just find everything really, really quickly.
Yeah, actually, yeah, that's just what I was thinking, You have certain seeds that are like this, and if you can just, all it takes is, say, a level 7 hurt more, and then all of a sudden you're off to the races. Ooh, Ali was trying to hurt race that Rogue Scorpion again, but looks like he got stop spelled. Had to try to bail, but Rogue Scorpions are one of the more difficult enemies to try to run from. Very high agility.
If only he had the armor in the first chest like we had yesterday in our race.
Yes. Yeah, that'll help you race some stop spell enemies for sure. You love to see that. Something strong as stop spell and it's just casting it all the time. If you have the armor, you can just fling hurts at it until it goes away.
Yeah, I was having some fun with those green dragons at one point.
Here's level 7 for Az. 18 power, 8 speed, 1 hit point, 17 magic points. Probably not quite the level he was hoping to see. 51 attack power with no weapon is certainly nothing to sneeze at.
Yeah, I wouldn't be complaining.
And it's now going to start outpacing hurt against a lot of the enemies that he has been fighting. I think Ali's made his way back into the grave, and
Azrael just leveled.
And Ali does have first chest of grave. It is a wings, and a torch, and the fighter's ring. So an additional 2 attack power for Ali, but nothing else much to speak of. So at these levels, the Star Wyvern proving very problematic for both racers. We've seen several deaths on each side to that particular enemy now. They're just all over the place in this seed. It looks like Azrael's going to take a look at what happens to be underneath Tantagel Castle. So we'll get a first true look at what this happens to be. Got a torch. Yeah, this is the tablet cave, so one free chest at the end. And it's actually one of the quest items Azrael has found here in the Tantagel basement. Erdrick's cave contains Erdrick's token.
Lovely jubbly.
And it's interesting to this point, Ali has not yet taken a peek at the treasury. He does have that key saved up, and I'll be interested to see when he decides to do that. It could be really valuable for him to get that information so that he knows what the treasury is like if he comes into enough money to buy a couple more keys. We of course know there's an extra key in the treasury itself, but he doesn't have that information yet. Oh, and look at this. Azrael is headed southwest of the castle. I was just about to say, this is interesting. We haven't seen any exploration this direction yet, and there's a red dragon. So, it looks like going many directions from Tantagel will yield some possibly very dangerous zones. So separate tacks right now. Ali is headed to the northwest. Azrael is headed basically due south from Tantagel. And it looks like this is actually a dead end on Azrael's side. Ali, meanwhile, in a pretty good hero walk here way off to the northwest.
Looks like
Haven't
some around there.
Yeah. Azrael's now headed in toward the west here, and we do have a town. It's in a swamp though, and I don't think he has an herb enough, or he does have a couple herbs. Whew. I was worried about that for a moment there. He did not have enough steps to get into the town, and it is Remulder. Of less consequence in this seed than it might normally be because both of our players already have access to keys, but he is going to get a chance to check the lone chest here in the inn.
As I like to call it, Key Town.
Key Town is very popular, and it's better than figuring out how to pronounce Remulder properly, so I'd honestly just go with that most of the time. We do see a hand axe, chainmail. He's going to only has enough money to pick up a small shield right now, does Azrael. So a couple of decent early game items there, but getting to this spot with enough gold is another matter, as Ali picks up level 7. So the experience gap closing a little bit, and Ali has found a new cave as well, it looks like. Swamp South.
That's the one I'm thinking of. It's my least favourite cave.
Yep, there was Swamp South. And Swamp Cave actually backs into Garenham. So the Swamp South exit is somewhere on the overworld map, and the Swamp North exit is into Garenham. So Ali's going to get to look at these 3 chests immediately. Finds a cursed belt, and some gold, and an herb. So, at minimum, might be able to pick up some equipment here in Garenham. Gonna walk out and walk back in to check some things out. And that cursed belt being present does give us an indication that at least one of the search spots, either the one in any of the ones in Cole or Hawksness or on the overworld, will have an item. Azrael giving that... Oh, go ahead.
I get most disappointed when a search spot has no item on it.
It's very frustrating. Stuff that's just a little bit out of Ali's price range. Magic Armor, Silver Shield here in Garanham. Looks like he's going to go for the Copper Sword and the Small Shield for the moment. Not sure if he has anything else on him to sell, but he did pick up that Cursed Belt earlier. He has already disposed of that, so not quite enough to pick up the half plate, so he's just going to go with those for now. Azrael took quite a bit of a think before going after that Rogue Scorpion with Hurt, and then found out that it had Stop Spell, and so that's off the table for the time being.
Now he's got to remember which direction he was going in.
That's the tricky part.
Sometimes that happens if you walk a really long distance on the map, and then you die, and then you're like, which way did I go again?
I have the most problem with that in Dark Caves. If I have a battle that lasts 7 or 8 rounds, then I'll just go, oh wait, now I don't actually remember where I was. Ali took...
I prefer to have a torch or radiant before attending those.
Always optimal. Ali took a look to the south of Garanham, on that side of Swamp Cave, and didn't come up with much, but now he does have enough money to purchase some keys. So I think we're going to see him take his first look in the Tangential Treasury and pull the items out of there. We'll see if he decides to go to Erdrick's Cave as well, but in the meantime, Azrael has taken off exploring again. This looks like the same direction as, Ali had been going earlier. Got a Stop Spell Magiwyvern there. That's interesting. If you happen to get Stop Spell, then Hurt works really well against enemies like that.
I still always confuse the magic wyverns with the regular wyverns. Obviously one's stronger than the other, and I pay the price for getting that wrong.
Yeah, that's not a mistake that you would have made. Ooh, Azrael sent back by a back attack golem, but I still didn't see anything. There's not much there to the northwest. It's just a long stretch of nothing that leads to a swamp, and until they have some better source of healing, it's probably going to be a while till they can actually get through there. Ali has headed to the bottom of the Tablet Cave, so he does have his token now as well, so we're basically even up on equipment. Ali does have that Copper Sword and the Fighter's Ring. The Fighter's Ring pulled from the top 3 of Grave. But it's still about 100 experience point lead for Azrael at the moment.
So far it's very close, but we all know how these can change in the blink of an eye. And one person can suddenly be 2-3 levels ahead.
Exactly, yeah. This is not much of a margin at the moment. It's still very early in this seed, so a lot ahead of us here in terms of both searching and experience gathering. It's interesting. I think it's... Perhaps I just haven't seen it, and someone, either you or someone in chat will be able to tell me, but I haven't really seen either of our racers go very far to the east. Does it dead end pretty quickly that direction, and I just missed that, or what's? Does anyone have the story on that?
Kind of like it goes like a diagonal.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's sort of like it's sort of a wriggly sort of area rather than just a straight line.
Yeah. I found it interesting that they keep heading through this northwest zone, so I figured that had to be the case, because otherwise, might choose to do something else other than have to trek through this, 15 by 15 grid of mostly instant death at the moment with these Star Wyverns and everything else. I think Azrael has spotted Swamp South on his screen, and Ali managed to race down a rogue scorpion with the hurt spell. So he picked up a big chunk of experience right there. You were talking about it turning on a dime. If that stop spell doesn't land, the rogue scorpion goes down.
Or as we say in the UK, on a sixpence. Whatever the heck a sixpence is.
I was just about to ask you, so if you don't know, we're sunk.
Old money, don't use it anymore.
I really like this play. Azrael appears to be collecting the key and the herb from the treasury, as well as some gold. Although this guard is being quite stubborn at the moment.
Why did they used to make the guards walk around like that in these old RPGs?
I know it. What is he patrolling in there? It's like a 4x3 room. It's locked. He doesn't have to be walking around.
I think they're just jerks and they just stick their hands out and they're just like, nope, can't go this way. Nope, can't go that way.
Yeah, pretty much. So Azrael, interestingly enough, has picked up a couple of gold chests, is up to 1930 now, has picked up a couple of herbs, keeps replenishing those keys each trip through the treasury, and he's actually going to save his progress at this point. Possibly try to save that and see if he can find a town somewhere, which is easier said than done. Ooh, actually heading out to the southwest. This is interesting. He's going to have to cross this swamp. Oh no, and I think this is the same zone we saw the red dragon in earlier, and that was an armored knight in the same zone, potentially. My goodness. And werewolves over here as well? Wow,
Swamp,
okay.
You've got high-level enemies, but there is a town.
And then gets away from the armored knight only to be back attack wrecked by a stone man. And I think he's going to reset out of this here and keep his gold. Yeah. Wow. That was some walk. Meanwhile, this is, I think, the second or third time we've seen the Druid Lords over here to the west of that kind of Star Wyvern Rogue Scorpion zone. And Ali's going full bore after them. He's actually going to pick up level 8 right here with this kill. So he has taken the experience points lead back by virtue of this grind. 3 power, 10 speed, 5 hit points, 8 magic points, and a new spell, which is Radiant.
Love me some Radiant. No more bonking into walls. No more torches.
Anytime I don't have to think about torches, I'm very happy.
Have we ever had a situation where somebody's actually killed the Dragon Lord with a torch?
I think we have. It was, I think actually pretty early on after torches were implemented, if I'm remembering correctly. Just as, you know, kind of for the funsies. I think High Spirits it was, who went out and just said, I'm taking a torch to the Dragon Lord, and I'm just gonna make sure I land the last blow with a torch, and he did it. So it's happened a couple of times, but usually just in situations where the fight's locked down already. Azrael has made it to Remulder with his gold. He's going to pick up the broadsword and the chainmail. Very prudent purchases. Those are worth 20 attack power and 10 defense power, respectively. Just looking to take the death here and get back to where he was now at this point.
Any seed like this one, those points are invaluable.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, to go to 71 attack power right now, when you were just dealing with the hurt spell, now you're in range. I mean, with the hit points, it's still tough to take on a lot of mid-game enemies because they're going to do a lot of damage and you don't have much healing. But in a fight like this, for instance, I mean, he's taking on this Rogue Scorpion now. I mean, you've just got to win some coin flips to avoid that stop spell. But even with that now, he can do, with the broadsword, a little bit of damage just in case that stop spell does land, and he's going to take this Rogue Scorpion out to get very close to level 8 himself.
It looks like he's being trolled by these enemies.
And this is, I have to say, I really like this play by Azrael here, taking on these Rogue Scorpions. The hurt spell still does more damage than the broadsword at 71 attack power, but when he gets stop spelled, he can usually finish the fight off by swinging away. And that's really heads up by him here.
Yeah, I just noticed that. That's really clever. Getting quite lucky with the no effect as well.
That never hurts. There we go, and just like that, the experience gap has closed quite quickly. So we've still got a really great race on your hands. About half an hour in. If you're just joining us, a little bit of a slow start to the seed with just 5 strength, but the hurt spell came along pretty quickly. We do have lots of difficult enemies on the overworld though, and no healing to speak of as of level 8 other than if you want to grab some herbs out of the treasury. So an interesting seed so far, and it's been a really close race. Both racers have seen a little bit of a different territory at this point, and it should be a fun one to watch as we go along here. You see our tracker Cyberdark has posted the links in chat. This is our 25 seed AliGerBrap against the number 40 seed AzraelRavenheart. I'm Archfield Monk. I'm joined in the booth by Pellador. MathGirl718 is our restreamer today. Of course, all of your Dragon Warrior Randomizer Summer Tournament info there in those links as well. And it looks like Azrael's content to just keep walking through this zone. Probably a little bit of an exploration / grind here as he's taking out these Rogue Scorpions. Ali, meanwhile, has headed back through the Swamp Cave to Garenham. And we'll see if he's able to make some better progress on this exploration attempt. There is a gold chest back here, and there is some worthwhile equipment for sale in Garenham, at least a half plate as I recall. So he might be able to pick that up on this trip through as well. Yep, half plate for Ali. That's an additional 16 defense points. Again, very valuable at this point in the seed, especially with a lot of enemies that you'd like to race, but the hit points just aren't quite there yet. So any amount of defense helps. Azrael now making his first trip into the grave. He's not messing around with a Rogue Scorpion on this trip, he just wants to get to those chests. He'll get his fighter's ring and find the wings and the torch. It looks like Ali's casting Radiant here as he goes back into Swamp Cave. So I wonder if he's not contemplating a gold grind at this point. We know there's a gold chest in the treasury, and having pulled the 3 chests from Garenham, this would enable him to gold grind right away if he takes a death out of Swamp Cave. Most efficient way to do that is probably take a look at the spike tile, and the spike tile happens to be a stone man. So this will give him his return trip that he's looking for sure, especially as it has the sleep spell. And Dragon Lord 2 Breath. Hello.
I hate those things so much.
Oh, good golly. So that's not what you want to see. That basically rules out that tile for a grind. So they're going to be...
Azrael runs into one as well. But he managed to get away.
He did manage to get away from that one. So we've got those in the lower reaches of Grave too. As Azrael's diving that, it looks like Ali's setting up his gold grind, so we'll keep an eye on both screens here as we move along. Azrael now into the 3rd floor of the Grave. There are 2 chests down here, either of which could have some potentially very valuable items or equipment. Wraith with Hurt More. That's the problem with HP at these levels. Even if you run into something that you would normally be able to beat, those spells are still going to do so much damage without access to magic armor or Erdrick's armor. That Hurt More there, you know, it takes out a huge chunk of HP when you only have 52 max, so it's hard to fight or get away from those enemies. Agility is not bad, so if you wanted to try to take a running go at the lower reaches of Grave, you could, but it looks like for the time being we'll have to wait and see whether or not Azrael opts to go back there right away. So it looks like the gold grind is on for both of our racers. So the way this works, just to give a quick, you know, sort of back of the napkin explanation, whenever there's a chest, the list that keeps track of which chests have been grabbed. And if you grab some chests in a cave somewhere and then take a death, it puts you back in the throne room and puts some chests back on that list. And due to the programming limitations at the time, the programmers of this game were simply left with this problem where the mechanism to wipe the chest list kind of gets stuck there. It doesn't actually remove the chests from the list if you get sent back to the throne room out of a cave and not to the overworld. So any chest that you take after the 8th chest will just continue replicating itself like this and enables this process, usually referred to as the gold grind, and you can just get a lot of money right away. And it looks like Ali has gone to 22 grand and Azrael's gone to 15, and they're going to save that money and try to take it somewhere.
I hope they don't die on the way there.
That's exactly it. One thing that's interesting, I always like watching when racers are going after this part of it, because some people will opt to take some fights while they're going, and some people won't. The premise being that if you've done the gold grind and saved it, you expect to go somewhere with that money, and so if you fight any enemies on the way to where you're going, you'd have to reset out of the experience in order to keep it. So some people will still take a few fights here and there. Most people will just continue running, and as you see here, both of our racers have opted to just straight up run from everything that they've encountered on the way to their objectives.
I think with the difficulty of the enemies, it's probably wise.
I would agree. Azrael's going to get his hands on the silver shield that he knew was here in Remulder. Big silver acquired. That's a plus 20 defense, and it's actually plus 16 over the small shield that he did have.
I could not find that in my race yesterday.
You know, I think I didn't see a silver shield either. In any event, Azrael's got one, and has got some pretty decent defense with a chainmail, silver shield, and 49 agility. Each agility point, or pardon me, every 2 agility points is worth 1 defense point here in the exchange rate. So 54 defense for Azrael. And Ali's going to get to the shop in Garenham. There's also a silver shield here, so he's going to pick that up, but he's also going to be able to purchase the magic armor as long as he has something to sell. He's about 300 gold short. Oh no. He's got some wings. Those will go for 35. I believe there's a cursed belt and there's a gold chest in the back of Garenham here, so he could grab those really quickly if he needed to, but he did have those wings to sell, and I actually miscounted there. That was about 30 golds or so short. I misspoke. And he was able to get that magic armor. So that's 8 defense, better than the half plate, 24 defense points. And it does provide protection against the hurt and hurt more spells. It'll cut the damage caused by those by 1/3. So that will be of some assistance as well. And it'll also heal 1 hit point per 4 steps. So a big step up there for Ali, and as you see now, his defense is at 70 with those 2 pieces of equipment. That's fairly robust for level 8.
I actually did not know the armor did that. I only thought the biggest armor did that.
Yeah, the magic armor has some benefits. It's actually the same defense as the full plate, but it does have those extra benefits too. So depending on the seed, especially one like this with low hit points and no healing yet, that's a little bit underrated, I think, the fact that you can get some heal walking out of it. Just depends on whether or not you've got easy access to a gold grind and whether or not you've got easy access to a shop that has the armor, and Ali was able to grab it in this one.
I once forgot there were 2 weapon shops in that town. And he's going for the coordinates. Wow, nice easy coordinates. Probably won't even need to write that down. And Archfield Monk has just had to step away for a moment. He'll be right back as soon as he can. AliGerBrap going for the search spot. What will he find? Oh, sometimes he's miscalculated with those easy numbers. Oh, dead end there. That's very mean by that stone man. Azrael with a lovely critical hit. Never get tired of seeing critical hits. Very satisfying, I say. Looks like Azrael's going for the coordinates. Hopefully he's got enough herbs to survive these tiles. I know one time I did not.
Okay, sorry about that.
Old man doesn't move there. Hello, welcome back.
What did I miss? Oh, we've got some coordinates now. 13,
Yes.
13. Wow, I could swear we had a 13, 13 just the other week. Maybe even southeast. Go figure. The Angel's saying we did. I thought it was a race of his I was actually watching at the time. Anyhow, coincidences aside, looks like we're still moving along here. Stats look like they're shaping up a little bit. HP is still lagging behind a little bit on level 9. And still only 3 spells on level 9.
Well, that just means that they're going to get a lot of spells in 1 or 2 levels.
Yeah, one of these levels coming up is going to be pretty big in that department, I suspect. All spells, of course, required to be learned by level 16. Still 2 heal spells hiding out there in one of the levels between here and there. And it looks like these coordinates are possibly countable, but they're not directly countable. Is Azrael going to have to go around here? Is there
Yeah, there are obstacles in the way.
Yeah. Very unpleasant 13-13.
But at least it's easy to remember. Anyone watched my race last night with the commentary on? I was complaining because I couldn't find a pen to write my coordinates down, and I was scrambling for a pen for a good old 5 minutes.
Yes, always keep the writing utensils handy. Worst comes to worst, I actually see some people will type it in chat, and that way if they have their chat window up, they can just reference that, as long as, chat's not barreling along at a huge pace.
Oh, that wouldn't be a problem in one of my streams.
Nor mine. Oh goodness, this is an Armored Knight. I don't think we've seen an Armored Knight going through this zone before. Both of our racers have headed through that passage to the northwest a couple of times, and they have not encountered an Armored Knight. So, you see a little bit of a pause here. I wonder what's going on for Azrael. He's thinking about this a little bit as Ali hits level 9.
Maybe he's throwing his keyboard at the wall.
This is a rough overworld. There's a lot of Charlock level enemies just all over the place. And frankly, the fact that both of our racers have made as much progress as they have is, I think, a credit to both of them. They're doing a pretty good job here in what has proven to be a pretty difficult seed to this point.
That's still frozen in place. I don't know what he's doing.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure. There might be something going on there. Maybe he had to step away for a moment. You never know. It does happen. He's back. Lorcan positing maybe he's asking for a reroll. Somewhat uncommon this late in a seed, but it has at least come to my mind once. You can possibly ask Zarnax about our last Swiss round race from last year's tournament. I think we were both considering asking for a reseed about an hour 50 into that one. And just, but that's another story for another time.
That was long before I knew this even existed.
Devastating Charlock. Anyway. We are about 50 minutes in. It has been a little bit slow going, but as I said, both racers acquitting themselves admirably to this point. We have just a lot of bad enemies on the overworld, I think, is the main obstacle here. A lack of any healing, of course, is going to be a hindrance in any seed, but more so in a seed like this one, where anything you want to fight is still going to do a reasonable amount of damage to you. And none of the zones are especially grindable in the sense that there's at least one really bad guy you have hanging out in each zone that we've seen so far that you really just don't want to tangle with.
That would be the AK, I assume.
Yeah, and we've got those in at least 2 zones that we've seen so far, as well as that red dragon down toward Remulder. We've got star wyverns seemingly all over the place. But Ali now is outside of Garenham, and go figure, there's a town of... Oh, this is Cantland, that's right. So he's gone to the southwest here. It looks like he's going to shop for a flame sword. He's got enough money for it, and there is one present here in the first shop of Cantland. So he's fully decked out with the best gear money can buy. That'll put him at 88 strength and 71 defense power. Or, pardon me, 90. He's got the fighter's ring, that's right. And so even with this kind of equipment now, on this HP, the problem becomes there's still a lot of kind of middle to late game enemies that you can't fight super effectively. But it does open up some options for him as he's exploring to take down some heftier enemies. Oh man, yeah, and that's you know exactly the kind of middle game enemy that you want to fight when you have the stats that Azrael does, but when they come with one of those spells, makes things a little bit more difficult. Ali wouldn't necessarily have as much trouble with an enemy like that because he's got a little more attack power and the magic armor, which will blunt the effectiveness of those hurt mores. For instance, this Wraith we have already seen has hurt more, and he's going to get blasted by one of those, but 2 swings on 90 attack power will do the trick most of the time. It's just a matter of healing afterwards becomes the problem. We've seen golems in a lot of places too, as well as stone men. There's just Charlock enemies everywhere on this map.
I don't know if I've seen a blue slime yet.
I'm pretty sure I haven't. Even the opening zone was a little bit treacherous. They had just some red slimes and some other things. This crit from Azrael against a rogue scorpion is going to give him level 10, so we'll see if there's any help coming on this one. 7 speed, 3 hit points, 5 magic points. So still no spells. We're stuck with Hurt, Radiant, and Return on level 10.
That's gotta be sickening.
I mean, at this point, Hurtmore would just be a huge boon in this seed, and there's no help in sight at the moment. So we'll see what tack they decide to take. As far as exploration goes, we haven't seen many of our locations yet. We haven't seen Cole or Hawksness. We haven't seen the Mountain Cave. We've only seen Grave and Swamp Cave, which leads to Garenham. We've seen Remulder to the southwest, and we've seen Cantland. So there's still a lot of exploration to get in here. We've only got 1 quest item apiece, and that one was in the basement of Tangential Castle, Erdrick's Token in Erdrick's Cave. So this has been just a really interesting seed to watch unfold. I don't know how the runners are feeling about it right now, but I hope it's been fun for you to watch here. As we approach about the hour mark here, only about 1,500 experience points for our leader, AzraelRavenheart, about 1,300 close on his heels as Ali. There are certain seeds that feel like a slog more so than others, where you're just stuck at level 1 for an hour and then all of a sudden it opens up. But there are certain seeds like this one that can kind of be a little bit of a sneaky slog. We're sitting here watching it, and it doesn't feel like maybe it's much of one, but when you're an hour into a seed like this one, where the progress is just very gradual, it can start to wear on you a little bit. So it'll be interesting to ask the racers about this in the post-game, just what was going through their minds in this opening hour that has kind of just been a really protracted struggle to gain any ground. These Wombo Stonemen are in this zone too. I hadn't seen them before this point either. So that's the Wombo Combo Stonemen and the Armored Knights in that zone that's kind of at a choke point as you're going to the northwest. They have to go that way to get any exploration done. So that's a zone that's probably going to continue to be a thorn in their sides for the remainder of the game at this point.
And neither's managed to find a search spot yet, have they? It's too far away.
Yeah, 13-13 and you can't get to that search spot. I mean, it's just really remarkable. And that search spot becomes even more problematic because you have that Stone Man. If they don't get sleep anytime soon, it's really hard to combat that Stone Man when he's got sleep and Dragon Lord 2 Breath if you don't have the armor or any hit points, and we don't have either of those things at the moment. So if you wanted to use the GPS and then head to potentially Second Continent to see if you could count the coordinates out with the GPS, then you would need to get past that Stone Man first, and that's a very tall order.
That can be a pain even at higher levels.
Absolutely.
I remember running through Sherlock one time on a play. I wasn't racing, I was just playing the randomizer. It was like every 2 steps there was a damn Stone Man.
I think I would be pretty tempted at this point to just grind out that zone in the desert northwest of Tanajol and kill as many rogue scorpions as I can. It doesn't take many of those to get to the next level. Level 11 from here for Azrael would be at 2175. So, you know, that doesn't take very long to get there, and the rogue scorpions are at least a decent fight at this point, and there's just not a whole lot else to grind on.
Otherwise it's kind of like banging your head against the wall, isn't it? You're not really getting anywhere.
Exactly.
Either a really soft wall or a very hard head.
In my case, the hard head would definitely apply. But point well taken. I mean, this is a situation in which you have no healing, so grinding the rogue scorpions is slow, because you're gonna take a death probably every 2 fights or so, unless you get really lucky on their stop spells. And there's not really much else around to grind. I mean, it's just a lot of the mid-game enemies are rough, and they're in zones that have other bad things. Ali is going to hit level 10 here on this Wolf Lord. So now we're even up there at least, although Azrael does have about a 300 experience point lead, closer to 4 perhaps, at this point. There we see the MTI tag again from Ali. For those who might not be familiar, MTI, of course, a prominent member of the community who loves any 0 stat gains when levels pop up.
Is Azrael heading towards the search spot, I wonder?
It's hard to say. I don't know that we've really seen anybody make any headway into this swamp at this point. It's a fairly extensive one, and the enemies around are not kind, just as they are basically everywhere else on this map. Perhaps goes without saying. And these golems have sent Azrael back, I think, at least a couple of times now, over in this same area. Ali is going through a swamp that appears to have been to the east of Cantlin, and he's going to come across coal. This could be really big.
Please be armor.
Oh, man.
Ah,
Oh, the whammy. I think he was tempted to check it again just to make sure. Once in a great while, I'll accidentally do the take on that spot instead and go, oh, maybe I was wrong, and I'll search again, and it still turns out there was nothing.
Yeah.
So big nothing in coal. And he's gonna have to keep exploring, and naturally,
Oh, of course.
red dragons due east. What a
thought you were making progress. Did you? Here's a red dragon.
Just thwarted at every turn. Speaking of which, Azrael put to sleep by this stone man and goes down in 2 swings. Wow. That's the story of the seed right there, folks. If you're just now tuning in at the hour mark and saw Ali get killed by that red dragon and Azrael get killed by that stone man, that's what we've been in. This is where it is. Now, what is potentially interesting here, and something that I don't hazard to mention, because I will say when I do commentary for these and I'm looking at both people's screens, I sometimes have a poor sense of the map. But I thought perhaps that Ali had come across Cantlin without going through Swamp Cave. Is it possible that this is a single continent map? I'm not actually sure. Someone in chat may have noticed and would be able to assist me. He is headed back towards Swamp Cave, so I suspect that's not actually the case. And perhaps I just misread the situation.
Trying to fight the green dragon. This might not go well.
Potentially not. He does have a good bit of defense at this point, but can probably, on average, only survive 3 or 4 swings, and likely won't be able to kill it in that span. Had some pretty bad attack rolls there, to be fair. Azrael is creeping up on the next level. It looks like he's got 2167, so even this Drakema would do it at this point. Maybe level 11 will provide some assistance.
Oh.
New spells are the big line item there.
Look at that.
Couple of mores. Just what we were looking for. Heal more and hurt more on level 11. So no strength on that level, only 2 agility, but some much needed hit points and those 2 critical spells.
Might actually make it to the search spot now. Maybe.
Maybe. Some of the enemies still tough sledding at this point, red dragons particularly, on their current hit point totals. Difficult to deal with, but some finally light at the end of the tunnel here, at about the 1 hour 2 minute mark.
Just swamp peninsula there.
Yeah, dead-end swamp peninsula. Infested by armored knights. Go figure. But honestly, at this point, you don't mind seeing that. You can double up on those hurt mores and take those out, and that's a decent chunk of experience right there, so long as you're able to survive. And with that heal more spell, that makes that better. You saw Azrael made a beeline for that swamp as soon as he got the heal spell, so he went southwest of Swamp Cave there. Was a dead end, but now we'll start to see our runners be able to venture into the swamps a little more frequently, as they do have some healing at their disposal. Both of our racers heading through Swamp Cave. Other exit is into Garenham, and that appears to be the primary direction of exploration at this point. We still have a lot of said exploration to do. suspect Garenham will likely be the base of operations for both of our runners once they both have heal more. You can make some progress out of there as long as you're not running into the worst of the enemies too often. But having that in to enable you to replenish your magic is a big deal at this point. You also get a pretty good sense of just how important Hurtmore is. Case in point, this was pretty close on experience as of just a couple of minutes ago. But just in the time since Azrael has gotten Hurtmore, it provided that tipping point where now all of a sudden he's got about 1,000 experience point lead. Not insurmountable by any stretch, depending on how exploration goes, but he's going to continue building on that until Ali does get to level 11. So if there's kind of a tipping point in this match so far as that goes, that could be it right there. Just the fact that Azrael was able to accumulate a little bit more experience as he went than Ali was has given him an advantage in the seed. Level 12 incoming. 5 power, 1 hit point, 3 magic, and another new spell. What do we got?
Outside.
Looks like it. Yeah, I believe you're correct. Outside it is. So not much on that level, to be honest. Got 1 hit point.
Blue dragons beginning.
There's blue dragons in this zone as well. Oh goodness, and they have sleep. And it seems like they're going to cast it pretty often. That was 2 non-sleep moves, and backing it with Hurtmore. Not what you want right now, especially for Azrael, who does not have the benefit of the protection of the magic armor. So 2 Hurtmores is done basically all of the time when you're trying to get through a swamp like that. Charlock could be a mess. You've got these sleep Dragonlord Breathstone men. They don't seem to use the sleep very often, but when they do, it's potential demise anytime. And I think that blue dragon zone we just saw Azrael crossing through to try to get to Cole also had red dragons in it. So this overworld, just the more information we get, the worse it gets. Ali has come into some Droll Magi, and I'm not sure if this is the same zone. There could be some Armored Knights and Stonemen here as well, but if he has found a zone, this looks like it might be a little more tame, and those Droll Magi are defense broken, so even though he doesn't have any healing yet, he can make pretty quick work of those without much use of resources. Got some Druid Lords here too, so this could actually be an optimal zone that he's found just now. All he has to do is get to level 11, and that opens up some options for him. I saw
how lucky he gets with the random encounters, so he could get ahead of Azrael.
Potentially. It would take a little bit of doing to get that accomplished. I did see these Droll Magi at least 1 or 2 times before, but I was worried about saying anything lest I jinx that zone too, like all others have been so far this season. Don't see that very often, defeating a magician for level 11, but he was just within range, so he decided to take that one out and pick up his level, so he will be extremely pleased to open his spell list and see a breath of fresh air there, heal more and hurt more on level 11. And yet another empty eye level.
Now, is Azrael going to try and rescue the princess? Yes.
Well, yes, he is. And I don't disagree with this at this point. However, this stone man is going to be really rough. He doesn't know that yet. He's going to try the hurt more strats on it.
Yeah.
Nitz is on the first and is going to get immediately torched for 65 and opt out.
He's running away.
Also very prudent, I feel.
Oh, he's trying again.
Oh, he's going to make another run at it. So, if you can land a hurt more back-to-back, you'll kill a stone man most of the time. It's just a matter of being able to land it. This is a bold play here.
Pulls it off.
He does land 2 of them, but it's not going to be enough. He can swing here and probably finish the job, though. And he does. Wow.
Lucky.
What a play there. Man. You do have to get a little bit lucky. Those stone men have 7 out of 16 hurt resist, so it's basically winning 2 coin flips in a row. Actually have a little bit better odds than that. And then to not kill it and still not get Dragon Lord breathed, yeah, that was a pretty fortunate fight to get through, yet I think I really appreciate the thought that went into that. Once he saw the Dragon Lord 2 breath and just said, you know what, let's try it, we're here. And he's, for his efforts, got the princess and he's got the outside and return spells, so he can just head straight back to the castle now. Alright, so with the return of the Princess, Azrael will now get an item called Gwaelin's Love. It'll enable him to determine his position on the map just by using that item no matter where he is. He'll get his coordinates in reference... wow, lost the word. In reference to Princess Gwaelin, home-based at Tangential Castle. So it looks like he'll be heading for the coordinates probably in pretty short order here to try to see if he can find those out. Meanwhile, Ali has made, I think, the most progress we've seen to the east of Cole. And he's going to try to get some exploration done here. So much swamp on this map as well, just kind of exacerbates the existing situation with the enemy zones.
Took me a while to figure out when I first started playing this that the Gwaelin's Love and the Old Man's Coordinates are opposite to each other.
Yeah, that's a pretty common one. The fact that she gives the coordinates with respect to herself can really trip you up. Like I know that, and I still make mistakes with it sometimes. So yeah, just having that piece of information can be huge. Ali's been out exploring for a while now. This branch of the map has taken him east all the way to the edge of the map past Cole, then north, then back to the west, and he's looking for his reference point for the coordinates, I feel. And he might be close to it, but he hasn't quite picked up on it yet. Oh no, and Ali gets victimized by the werewolf dodge there. They do have a slightly higher than average dodge rate, so that if that hurt more doesn't finish them off, sometimes the ensuing swing won't do the job, and that dodge there just sent Ali back to start, and he was pretty far afield, so that could be costly in the final equation here.
That's the kind of thing that makes me lose patience.
The one thing you can do with the werewolves is if you manage to land a hurt more first and it's for a decent chunk of hit points, Werewolves max out at 70, so you can actually just fling a hurt which never misses them after that, and you'll be virtually guaranteed to kill it.
That's interesting, I didn't know that.
Costs a little bit of MP and a little bit of time, but if you want to guarantee you put a kill away in that situation, then following your good hurt more roll with a hurt is usually the best way to go.
I'm looking at the empty search spot.
Yeah, the extremely disappointing coal find. Ali's making an interesting play here. He's going to try to dive bottom 2 of Grave, and I think I actually might like this, given that he's got Heal More and Hurt More now. We have seen some enemies that he'll be able to deal with because he's got those 2 spells and he's got a good bit of defense. So if you're struggling to make any progress with exploration, maybe try to take the things from the place where you have actually found some checks to make instead of continuing to explore kind of out in the open. From Ali's perspective, at least, he has not seen the enemy zones here yet in the bottom 2 of Grave. And he is going to pull the silver harp from the 4th chest. So we saw Azrael on a much earlier dive get stopped short of pulling that 4th chest. And we have one of our 3 quest items in the 4th chest of the Grave. So that's a big find for Ali right here.
If you can remember where the guy was that he hit it.
Yeah, I'm not sure if we've seen...
We have.
Have we seen? Yeah. I didn't even remember that we saw him, so I sure don't remember where he was on the map, that's for sure.
It's the jerk that we haven't seen yet.
Alright.
I don't think we've seen Freebie either.
No, that's still outstanding, and we're still looking for Mountain Cave, I believe. So another cursed belt. We've seen 2 cursed belts, but we know the coal search spot is empty, so that means there must be something by process of elimination in the Hawksness. Another place we have to
get a kill. Oh, no he won't.
Metal Slime says no. Just when you thought...
everything.
It really does. But I mean, just when you think, okay, we're in a good spot now, and then you get Dragonlord 2 breathed by a Metal Slime. That's just like, wow, we're really pulling out all the stops for you today. Absolutely. Like, if you get killed by that Metal Slime before you get to the 5th chest, you're just going, oh my goodness, what if there was something else important down here? While we were observing over there, Azrael did hit level 13. So now he's got about exactly a 1 level advantage over Ali, who has just hit level 12. And we see the stats for both of them here shaping up a little bit. 71 strength on level 13, so a gain of 6. Let's see, 6 more agility, as well as 10 more hit points and 4 more magic points. So things are coming along here. Could be much worse at this point from a statistical perspective. Did pick up the spell of Repel and Heal on level 13 as well. So right now we really have, I feel like Azrael's got a big experience point lead at the moment. We know that can change given circumstances, but We also have Ali turning in the silver harp right now, and he's the only one who's found the harp so far. Azrael abandoned his attempts to reach the lower 2 chests of grave earlier on in the seed, so he hasn't seen the silver harp yet, and it might be a while till he goes back there. Racers will often leave those 2 chests until last if they've managed to make a bunch of other checks. So if we go for a while and the silver harp still hasn't been found, then that could give Ali a little bit of an advantage too. So this one's still very much in question, even at the hour 20 mark. Thank you so much for joining us today. We hope you're enjoying the race so far. I'm Archfield Monk, joined in the booth by Pellador. Make sure you give our racers a follow. They've certainly deserve it after everything that this seed has put them through so far. AliGerBrap and AzraelRavenheart are number 25 and 40 seeds respectively in the 2020 Dragon Warrior Randomizer Summer Tournament. This match brought to you by our race streamer Math Girl and our tracker CyberDark86.
No, what was Azrael doing?
He's trying to pick up the count here, and I think he knows his spot. And it's interesting, he has the GPS, but he's opted not to deploy it, perhaps, to this point. Just counting out from his reference spot on the other side, it seems. So, maybe he's just momentarily forgotten that he's pulled the GPS here. Oh, there we go, and it is Erdrick's armor! That is so big right now. Just to give you that extra edge against the DL2 breath enemies and the Hurtmore enemies and the swamps and everything else that we've seen in this seed. So to give everybody the breakdown, we talked earlier about the magic armor will shave off 1/3 of the damage done by Hurt and Hurtmore. But Erdrick's armor does that, and does a whole bunch of other stuff as well. It'll give you the most defense points in the game, 28. It will give you 1 point of hit points restored per step on the overworld map, or anywhere on the map. It will give you total immunity to stop spell, to swamp tiles and barrier tiles. And I know I'm probably forgetting something. Oh, it'll also cut by 1/3 the damage from the breath attacks. So the weak breath and the Dragon Lord 2 breath, those attacks will be blunted as well. So that's just an amazing get for Azrael here. What's not amazing is that red dragons have heal more. So if he was hoping to hack through those instead of trying to run from them, that's going to be easier said than done too, because guess which spell is still missing from the complement at level 13?
Stop spell?
Stop spell. So those red dragons are probably still off the table too.
AliGerBrap just found freebie.
Anything of consequence there? I did miss that
Just
one.
some gold.
Just some gold. So that's at least one more check off the table. Still looking for the Stones of Sunlight. We know the Hawksness search spot is out there as well, and there's got to be something on it. So that search spot would be limited at this point to the Stones of Sunlight, the Fairy Flute, or the Death Necklace. And then one of, potentially another couple of those items, or maybe even all of them, might be found. All of the rest of them, I should say, could be found in Mountain Cave. But we'll see what happens here. Still a bunch of checks to make. And it looks like the exploration is proceeding a bit more apace at this time now that they've got those more spells and some better gear and so forth to go along with it. Looks like Ali's going to get sent home by one of these sleep hurt more blues. So by no means is this going to be easy from this point, but it should be slightly easier, perhaps, maybe, hopefully.
I don't know why Azrael's trying to fight this red dragon.
It's risky. I mean, you have 65 agility. That's not terrible. You're going to be able to run from the red dragon. I don't even have my run chart up at the moment, but I think it's about a third of the time. I know you need equal agility, which is in the 80s, to be able to run from them half the time. So it's probably somewhere in that neighborhood. I think with that Heal More spell, until you get a little bit more attack power or stop spell, it probably does make sense to continue just to try to escape from them. But this... Our racers basically started their Charlock dive at about the minute mark in this seed, because there's been nothing but Charlock monsters all over this map. Even just, a couple tiles northwest of Tangential Castle running into Star Wyvern, basically, as soon as the seed starts. So that'll give you a sense of what this one has been like for both of these racers.
Does this mean that the actual Charlotte could be full of blue slimes?
If only. If only. Turns out the seed was coming from inside the Charlock the whole time! Azrael's using some repel here to try to get around. I'm of two minds about that. I get the need to try to do some exploration a bit more expeditiously, but at this point, I mean, there's so few of the Charlock enemies that he can actually fight, and he's repelling a lot of things that he might be able to fight. So, I mean, the map is bad, but he's not getting rid of any of the worst stuff, and perhaps missing out on a little bit of experience along the way. So it remains to be seen whether or not that will mean anything. But Ali has started to close the gap a little bit here. He's found a green dragon zone, and these are one of the few Charlock enemies that don't seem to have any fierce abilities. And Ali is going to hit 13 just as Azrael hits Brecconary.
Oh, is that what this town's called? I just call it Starter Town.
That's a good way to put it, too. Got that cheap in there for 6 gold, and we do have a cave directly to the south of it, so Azrael's going to top off there first and then check to see what this cave happens to be. It looks like it would have to be Mountain Cave at this point. Last one left, and it is. So 5 chests to gather here, 1 chest on the top floor, 4 on the second floor. We'll see if he comes away from this exploration attempt with anything useful, but this first zone overlaps with the lower zone, one of the lower zones of Grave, so there could be some nasty enemies here, like this golem. So for his sake, hopefully not too much trouble on his way down to the second floor.
Yesterday I got a bit kerfuffled in this dungeon. I could have sworn there was a chest in the bottom right corner, and there just wasn't.
Yep, we've got these two right here. There's one kind of near the staircase, and then the one in the lower left. Those two clustered together in the top left, just a couple of gold chests, not of much use at this point of the seed.
I was just walking around and around. Just, surely there's another chest in here. Nope.
Yeah, Angel raising a good point actually. In Dragon Warrior 3, Mountain Cave does have a chest down there in that corner, so...
Maybe that's what I was thinking, that was the last vanilla Dragon Quest I played all the way through.
So the fairy flute was in that chest near the staircase, as is the Stones of Sunlight. So that means that either the sword or the death necklace have to be on the Hawksness Search tile, and the other will be somewhere else. And I think we have very few checks. I think we're looking at Charlock at this point for one of the sword or the death necklace, and right here we find Hawksness just to the east of Brecconary and Mountain Cave. So this is a pretty big exploration find for Azrael at this point too. This could really help him get ahead here, as if he finds the item he wants on this search spot, he's basically in grind and go mode, and he's got to figure out what to do going forward. This spike tile could be really huge too, because if this is one of the few grindable enemies we've seen so far, that would be massive. If it's another stone man, now we've got a problem on our hands.
It's not possible to be a blue slime, is it? It has to be one of...
Yeah, there's a certain set. It's one of 6 enemies, so it could be a stone man or a golem, could be an axe knight or an armored knight, or it could be a blue or a red dragon. And it looks like we're up for a golem here. Probably not the worst thing to see. I don't know if we've seen their abilities yet, but he does have the flute. And the flute is guaranteed to put the golem to sleep every time you play it. So as grinds go, this would certainly be better than the stone man that we saw earlier, the Wombo Combo stone man that's sitting there in the spike-tailed swamp cave. But we'll probably more interested in the moment at seeing what's on this search spot. We know there has to be an item there, we just don't know which one yet.
Nice critical hit.
Oh, critical hit. Love to see that.
Oh.
And it's Death Necklace. Probably not what he was hoping for. Not looking like a Death Necklace seed right at the moment with only 79 HP. But Erdrick's sword then, by process of elimination, must be in Charlock Castle. Yeah, Lorgon, we don't have alternate broadcast for the away team. Sorry about that. So if you're rooting for the randomizer today, you'll just have to listen to the home team broadcast instead. I think Ali and Azrael count as the home team in this context.
But don't home teams normally have the advantage?
Oh, they should. If you put it that way.
Oh, it does.
Oh, how unfortunate! Oh my goodness, he landed 2 hits against it already. He's still maybe not a favorite to kill it if he lands that swing there. I didn't see him. He used his MP on the Healmore instead, going for that route. But that dodge is just really unfortunate. Ali's struggling to get away from one of those red dragons that seem also to be everywhere on this overworld. As Azrael gets to level 14. 10 power, 11 speed, 0 hit points, 20 magic points. So a lot of some stuff, and no hit points. I think, yeah, Azrael's gonna head to the bottom floors of the grave. He knows that's where he's gotta go to get the harp now. Has to be in one of these last 2 chests. We know it's in 4th chest of grave. So he's gonna have everything together in just a moment or two, barring... Yeah, barring exactly what happened. See, I opened my mouth. That was a mistake. But he does have Stop Spell now, so he's going to try to get through this Red Dragon, which does have Hurt More and Heal More. And this should actually be a relatively simple fight with Stop Spell. It's not going to heal more at the end. You're probably going to have to spend a heal more or maybe 2, depending on how your swings go. But on 103 attack power, if it casts frequently, you can be reasonably assured of getting through this fight mostly unscathed. And all he's got to do is get to this next chest, and he's going to be in really good shape.
You know, he's just praying for no more red dragons.
Yeah, I mean, that's, you just every step to that chest, you're just going, no more reds, please, no more red dragons. Meanwhile, Ali has found the mountain cave, so very shortly, we would hope that he also clears this out. He will come by the fairy flute and the stones of sunlight, should he do so. Azrael is going to make a play on the last chest. It is possible from his perspective that the sword might be there. But we know from our perspective that the sword is in fact in Charlotte Castle.
Oh, the spell had no effect.
Oh, so yeah, now we've seen 2 stop spell tries. We've got 1 hit and 1 miss, so we can kind of keep track here and get a sense, but there's another stop spell miss. Alright, so we're 2 for 4. Still a pretty small sample size, but it gives you a sense at least of what the Red Dragon's stop spell resist might be. Ali has successfully cleared Mountain Cave, so he's got his items, now has all 3 quest items, just needs to turn those in, and he'll have his Rainbow Drop. So you need the Staff of Rain, the Stones of Sunlight, and Erdrick's Token in order to turn them in to a Sage and get the Rainbow Drop. It's an item that allows you to create a bridge to access Charlotte Castle, which is the game's final dungeon. Our runners, of course, competing to see who can be the first to defeat the Dragon Lord at the bottom of Charlotte Castle. And they should have a good bit of experience knowing what Charlotte Castle might be like, because virtually every enemy they've fought on the overworld has been a Charlotte tier monster today.
All Azrael has to do is find the jerk.
He's still got his harp trade-in to do as well, looks like.
Oh yeah. But the Stone Man had something to say about that.
He did. Of course, one of your most effective weapons against the Stone Man is Sleep, and our racers as of level 14 do not have that spell yet.
I actually did not know that worked against them.
Yeah, you've got a 7 out of 8 chance to land Sleep, so if you're just trying desperately to get away from one on virtually any agility, it's better to use the Sleep spell than the Stop spell, than to just try to run away from a Stone Man. And especially one like that has Sleep and DL2 Breath, I'd probably heavily lean toward on the overworld just putting all Stone Men to sleep. I don't want to deal with that nonsense. Ali is trying to clear this Hawk's Nest tile, engaged in battle with the Golem. He is going to get it done. And search the spot, find the Death Necklace, and basically at this point he now knows what he has to do as well, just as Azrael picks up the Silver Harp, or pardon me, trades in the Silver Harp to pick up the Staff of Rain. So we're just about on even footing at this point. The one piece of business that Ali has to take care of, and then I think at this point he knows that either the sword, from Ali's perspective, either the sword or the armor is on the search spot. So he knows he's probably going to want to pick that up. I expect we'll see him make a play on that next. And then from there he'll know what's left over in Charlock. Meanwhile for Azrael, he's already got the armor. He does, as you mentioned, just have to pick up the Rainbow Drop, and then he'll be good to try to find a grind. And it looks like the Golem might actually perhaps be the best bet here, as many of the other enemies you might fight, say, in a top floor of Charlock grind or whatever else. I mean, if you want to do that, they're just all over the place in the overworld anyway. But a lot of those enemies have sleep and other different abilities that can be challenging, so we might be looking at Golems here for a little while, I suspect.
If anyone's ever watched the original series of Dragon Ball, not Dragon Ball Z, Dragon Ball, where Goku's a kid, Oolong transforms into one of these armored knights.
Yeah, of course, the same artist was responsible for that series as was responsible for doing the art in all of the Dragon Quest games, Akira Toriyama. So if that's a familiar emblem to you from both places, you'll see kind of a lot of similar looking art from him in a lot of his different projects. So well spotted there.
Except these knights have axes and shields, not a bowl of noodles like you're on there.
Yeah, that's a slight difference. Ali is still level 13, does not have access to Stop Spell yet, so he's tangling with this red dragon and having no luck. He has discovered, I am certain to his dismay, that the red dragons possess Heal More. Ooh, gets away with no magic left. And that was actually pretty critical, I feel. He's over here in the spot, chances are, where he might want to grind. I'm not sure if he's going to opt to do that now or if he's going to look for the coordinates first. But taking a death when you're that far away from home can be problematic. Azrael's definitely on the hunt here, almost certainly looking for the Rainbow Drop Cave, which I don't believe either racer has seen yet. Oh, Ali getting sleep-locked by this blue dragon. Tried to get away in between, woke up and just wasn't able to make it happen. Azrael, I think, missed a stop spell and then landed a stop spell, so far, at least in the samples I've seen, we're looking at about 50% stop spell resist for this red dragon, it appears.
Where is this old hermit?
He's hiding out somewhere. As if everything else weren't enough, this map has been, I would say, somewhat linear, but in a way that it has kind of spiraled around. There's a bunch of different directions to go, and everything's just kind of really spread out, except for the cluster there that we saw of Breckenary, the Mountain Cave, and Hawksness. Everything else has been at a fair distance from everything else. Garenham's not far from Cantlin, but when you're out exploring, that means all the healing towns are kind of in one place, and you just kind of have to go and hope that you can survive long enough to find whatever it is that you're looking for.
I think Azrael just walked around in a big circle.
I think perhaps he did, yeah. I think that was just kind of one big body of water that you could loop around. And we have seen Charlotte Castle on Ali's side before at minimum. And we just saw it there on Azrael's side.
AliGerBrap taking another death to it.
Az did manage to land a stop spell on this blue dragon, which has sleep and hurt more, and then land a critical hit, which didn't actually kill it. It's a fairly low roll on that critical, 65. So Azrael's just going to restore his resources here at Brecconary, having looped around looking for the Rainbow Drop Cave to no avail. He's going to have to get his resources back and continue on. Meanwhile, Ali pressing onward toward level 14. Just heal mooring and then running to get away from those red dragons for the time being. And I will say this, the blue dragons seem to be casting sleep pretty often, and they have, Azrael has managed to land Stop Spell on it first try, I think at least twice now. So that's not a terrible enemy to fight. I think it might share a zone with the red dragons in some places, so it kind of depends where you are, but that's, you know, this is a very low intensity fight in terms of if you can land Stop Spell and it's just going to cast Sleep 75% of the time, that's a pretty tempting target. Azrael started out this fight trying to get away from this red dragon, but I think he's changed his tack here. He's used the Stop Spell. This would give him level 15 if he does manage to finish it off. Level 15 at 7,500 experience. And he did land his Stop Spell, so that's all but guaranteed here. So we're going to look at level 15 now. Power of 2, speed of 2, hit points of 23, so that's where they've been hiding out all seed. 1 magic point and the final spell, which is Sleep on level 15. So you see there on our on-screen tracker the statistics on level 15 for Azrael. You get a sense of where we are in terms of readiness to finish this seed off. Those orange numbers mean you're in kind of a close spot to have a really good Charlock dive, and the green numbers mean you're in a pretty good place to have a decent Charlock dive. Probably not too far away now. Azrael's still working with a broadsword and has 105 attack power. We know that Erdrick's sword is in Charlock. That would raise him up to 125, which would put him pretty close to being in a spot where he'd be able to fight the Dragon Lord. Meanwhile, Ali just now picking up level 14. I'm sure we'll be quite pleased to see Stop Spell as well as the 10, 11, 0, 20 gains. Would like some more HP at this point, I'm sure, but we know that's coming at minimum on level 15. And he got yet another empty eye level. I'm going to look forward to talking to Ali about this after the seed is over. There have been a lot of those where at least one statistic has been a goose egg. So if you're just joining us, both of our racers still have a little bit of work to do, except... Oh, Azrael just found the Stones of Sunlight Cave again. False alarm. Both of our racers still looking for the Rainbow Drop Cave. They have everything they need to turn in their quest items and get that item, the Rainbow Drop, but haven't been able to track down the Rainbow Drop Cave yet. As well, Ali is still looking for his reference point to track down the search spot, which we know holds the armor. And we've got Erdrick's sword hiding in Charlock somewhere, either in one of the 6 chests of the treasury or in the single chest that's on the 2nd basement. So that part remains to be seen. I did see the first Stop Spell miss against a blue dragon for Azrael there. He was able to land a subsequent attempt, but that means they at least have a little bit of Stop Spell resist. I'll say this, we've been able to scout the enemies that we're likely to see in Charlock pretty thoroughly in this seed because they've been all over the place.
Wow, Golem seems to be chasing Azrael there. Death for Azrael now would be sickening, I think.
Absolutely. I hope he can stay alive long enough to find whatever, to find the Rainbow Drop Cave. It just has proven very elusive so far. Azrael's managing his fights against these red dragons pretty well, I'd say. Right now he's got, with fully equipped, with all of the defense gear you might want, Erdrick's armor and the silver shield, reasonable agility, he's got 89 defense points. That means the red dragon will do a maximum of 38 damage against him melee right now, so if you land a stop spell, you have a pretty good idea of where you sit in that fight at any given time. And you know that the red dragon's likely to waste some turns either with hurt more or heal more. Just a matter of getting the stop spell to land in the first place.
I think I may have spotted where he is, but he's got to get there.
Yeah, is that possibly the fabled Jerk Cave on the other side of that river there?
In for it, Azrael.
Whew. Gets a stop spell, gets a critical hit. Fight should be over in another swing. So as you see, both of our competitors fighting an Armor Knight on screen right now. The experience gap has widened to about 2,000 in favor of AzraelRavenheart. At this stretch, if level 16 happens to be the level, it's likely as many as of these encounters as Azrael has been getting as he's exploring that he might not need to do much of an endgame grind at the end. He's just picking up experience as he goes here. To answer your question in chat, Angel, I believe Ali was the first person to check the Swamp Spike. I think he was looking to Death Warp out of there at one point and checked the tile, and that's when we learned about the Sleep Dragonlord 2-Breath combination. So I'm pretty sure Ali has seen that. Azrael is taking this very winding path to this cave, and he has finally found him. There he is.
What took you?
Only an hour and 53 minutes, that's all. But he's got his rainbow drop, and so now he's basically in grind and go mode. And he's less than 1,000 experience points to level 16. So it's entirely possible that he could be getting ready for a Charlock dive in very short order here. Yeah, there was basically a one-tile pass through that mountain, and then, or I may have said Ali before. I think I meant to say Azrael. I'm sorry, but yeah, Azrael could be getting ready for a Charlock dive pretty soon. That said, yeah, that rainbow drop location was very out of the way.
Too out of the way.
I was going to say we might get some indication soon of where exactly Azrael intends to grind, but at this rate, it's possible he'll pick up the next level before he even gets to coal over here. This blue dragon could prove problematic, though. He wasn't able to land a stop spell, at least not to this point. He does get it on that try, so he should be able to take that one out and get that much closer to level 16.
Clearance does he need?
So the total for 16 is 9,750. It's 9,750 experience to get to level 16. Ali's still looking probably for two things. He's of course looking for the Rainbow Drop Cave, but also looking for his much needed reference point to make his count to pick up that armor. I think, based on what we've seen so far, just from the encounters we've seen since our racers got Stop Spell, I'm not really any closer to figuring out what the Red Dragon Stop Spell resist is. It seems like it's probably at a middle point somewhere, possibly about a coin flip, but it seems like Azrael's missing about as often as he's landing those. Ali picking up level 15. And Azrael's a mere 7 experience points away from his next level. And he's appears to be making... well, now I'm not quite so sure. He's walking around a little bit outside of Brecconary. Perhaps Azrael doesn't quite know what he wants to do just yet, so far as trying to pick up some more experience, but right at the moment he's just not getting any encounters. He's been walking around for a while now without seeing much of anything.
See, John knows how to mess with the player.
He had that repel on, but he's still not repelling a lot of stuff that he would expect to see in these zones. There's blue dragons and red dragons everywhere.
Yeah,
so that shouldn't have affected anything. But yeah, this Droll Magi will give him level 16. Is it the level? Let's find out. 3 power, 1 speed, 1 hit point, 8 magic points. So that's a definitive no.
Well, you could try anyway. I mean, it's possible the Dragon Lord could be a sissy.
Well, with Erdrick's sword, he's got 128 attack power. I feel like this is probably a little shy. The HP just isn't quite there in terms of, hoping for any kind of double attacks in between your heal mores. It's risky, and I think as Ali picks up the Rainbow Drop here, Azrael is going to make his way to Charlock. And he does have Fairy Water. He does have 1 Fairy Water I just saw in his inventory, but it bears pointing out that 128 attack power. Your Fairy Water damage is outdoing your base damage by attacking by about 2 damage per attack. So if you have even 1 Fairy Water, that could maybe turn the tide of a particularly difficult battle. But if you loaded up on Fairy Water before you left here, then I think it's just about set. I mean, even though you have some inventory spaces that you are clogged up with, like the flute and so forth, taking a full inventory of as much Fairy Water as you can carry, I think 16 is a pretty solid go mode for at this point for Azrael.
And with 103 HP, the deafness is not viable at all.
Nah, it was still well out of range for that. Interestingly enough, I wonder if this isn't an exploratory dive for Azrael, because we see here on the first basement, he's encountered this blue dragon, and he did try the stop spell, which missed. So the fact that he's opting to use magic points here leads me to believe that perhaps this is just a preliminary sword dive.
That would be my plan as well.
I can't say as I blame him. When the level's this thin, then I can see that for sure. If you decide you want to take that extra level, and it's possible that he's not quite thinking about fairy water at this point as well. And we've seen all these Charlock enemies, right? So you can reasonably expect that if the enemy zones are bad in Charlock, you're probably going to burn a heal more on the way down. And if you do, it's almost out of range at that point entirely, even if you do load up entirely with fairy water. So I think this is an alright play here. I think going for the sword first, just getting that out of the way and making sure, you know, if the seed progresses as it has the rest of the time, then perhaps the sword is in the vanilla location, which would lead you far afield there. Speaking of which, if you'd like to get your guesses in for Erdrick's sword, we do have the 6 treasury chests and the vanilla location. So if you're one prone to making predictions in that department, now would be your time, as Azrael descends into the second enemy zone of Charlock Castle.
And AliGerBrap is rescuing the princess.
Yeah, he tried.
Oh, I didn't notice what he was doing.
Yeah, no, exactly. I was pretty keyed in on Azrael there too, so well spotted on that. Ali's been looking for his reference point for a while now, having picked up the drop. All he has to do is get that search spot, and he knows it has to be either sword or armor, so he knows he needs to get there. And he's been looking for that reference point for 2 hours, you know, a while now. Not the full 2 hours, but for a while. And so I'm sure that rescuing Gwaelin and getting Gwaelin's love so that he can try to pull that item off the search tile is his priority at the moment. Azrael, meanwhile, now into the third and final enemy zone of Charlock Castle. He's been using Repel. Of course, this flag set for the tournament, we're using Repel in dungeons. So that will drive away some of the weaker enemies in Charlock right now on 89 defense power, including their wizards, Star Wyvern and werewolves.
Or even in there. I hate those wizards so much.
I think it's the first wizard we've seen all seed. We've seen all the other Charlock monsters, but that one has been missing until just now.
I think I had a bad experience with them in one seed, and it scarred me for life.
Wizards... yeah, that can happen with a lot of enemies. That, for me, it's the Star Wyvern. I dislike Star Wyvern so much. So here we are, Azrael is on the final floor as Ali continues. He's got the GPS in hand, so he's checking for the item here, and I think he has picked up his reference point, so we'll see him check for this in just a moment. Meanwhile, Azrael making his way toward the Charlock Treasury.
Why would he be going towards the treasury instead of the other chest location?
Well, you've got a 6 out of 7 shot that the sword is in this location. So mathematically, I think most people would be inclined to approach the treasury first, clear those chests, and only check that single chest that's all the way back on the 3rd floor, or the 2nd basement, I guess I should say, if it proves that the sword proves not to be in this treasury here. Got a gold chest in the lower right, a torch in the lower middle, a wings in the lower left, dragon scale in the top left, magic key, last chance. Hey, guess what, everybody? See? You're right. Go to the single chest first. Sword is in its vanilla spot. So this pre-dive from Azrael now is looking really prescient. Coming down here, he should have enough resources to get to that vanilla chest, but he's got to backtrack all the way back a couple of floors and head back up to that vanilla location. So we'll see if he manages to do that on this pass. Fortuitously, at least to this point, a lot of the Charlock enemies we've seen have not been the ones that have been so omnipresent on the overworld, but rather have been a lot of these kinds of enemies, your Axe Knights and so forth, that are a little bit less difficult. So hopefully for his sake he'll be able to make it there, and it's been a profitable dive in terms of experience as well. If he wanted that insurance level on top of the sword and perhaps some fairy water, he's climbing up toward that rapidly, as level 17 is at 12,000 experience. So Ali now has found Erdrick's armor. He's in position to be in grind and go mode here, and he also, since he's cleared everything as well, will know that the sword has to be in Charlock Castle. Or actually, now that I'm thinking about it, it was a while ago now. Did Ali make it to the last chest and grave?
He must have done. Yeah, he did, he did.
Okay, yes. Yeah, I think you're right about that. Here comes level 17 for Azrael. 3 power, 7 speed, 10 hit points, 2 magic points.
This is not nice. This looks like it might be a level 21.
Not a great level. Actually, I think here this might be the one, because remember, he is still without Erdrick's sword, so once he picks that up, it'll be at 131 attack power. And that's a range where you would expect he has the MP to cover that, provided his dive goes well. Interestingly enough, he is continuing to fight here.
As I noticed, I got confuddled in this cave yesterday.
It can be a little bit windy if you don't know the exact correct staircase to take. It can lead you on a path, and in fact there's one section where if you take a staircase, you'll actually end up in a floor that infinitely repeats. It'll just go over and over and over again if you keep entering the same staircase. Azrael has picked up Erdrick's sword. He's going to immediately outside and probably go refresh his resources and get ready to make his attempt at beating the seed here. Ali, meanwhile, just a couple of steps behind, also making his sword dive, it would appear, fighting some enemies on the way where possible. But you see now, with Erdrick's sword, 131 attack power for Azrael, puts him about on equal footing with the Fairy Water. Fairy Water's still slightly better at this point, but just narrowly, so he's likely to go ahead and dive here. So to answer the question in chat, yes, it is around 7 3/4 to 15.5 is your range, so that everything rounds down. 7 to 15 is the range right now on 131 attack power for Azrael. It's on average around 11 damage, 11 1/4. And Azrael, interestingly enough, he's going to Hawksness. He wants another level here.
Can't say I blame him. Wants to give that Dragon Lord a right good thrashing.
This is actually really interesting to me here. I'm not sure if he realizes the position he's in. He might even have a spare heal more at this level, depending on how his rolls go. So I admit I'm a little surprised to see him continuing to take another level here. And if it turns out that 18 isn't much of anything, then that might give Ali the window that he needs to try to catch up in this seed. Speaking of, Ali is now at level 16. And Ali's going to continue trying to fight for level 17 on his way down to the sword. So an interesting divergence here. Azrael's opting to grind for level 18. Looks like he's on I would say, a pretty clear go mode level here with 113 hit points, 131 attack power, and 101 magic points. That gives you 12 heal mores. So that should be enough to cover what you'd need in order to get it done, and if you take some fairy water for insurance, that'll be just so much the better. But he's going to go ahead and try to push for level 18 here on this golem grind in Hawksness. Meanwhile, we know that the sword is in the vanilla chest in Charlock, and so Ali's making his way down now. He's in the second basement, and he'll probably press on toward the treasury first, in all likelihood, and find out that sword is in vanilla. So again, this is not over at this point, depending on what the next level is, because if Azrael doesn't feel he has it on 17 and 18 doesn't provide much in the way of statistics, he might opt to take another level. And that, as I said, could give Ali a window to climb back into this one.
That's an excellent point.
However, Ali having a bit of trouble here. He is trying to conserve some resources, it looks like, which is an interesting choice. He has 82 magic, he opted not to heal there, and he's going to try to walk off some of this damage, despite having been knocked down all the way to 22 hit points on that previous floor.
Yeah, a bit unlucky with the armored knights.
Yeah, I don't recall seeing many or any of those on Azrael's dive, so if this enemy appears to be in Zone 2, then that's something we likely have not seen before, unless I missed it. And playing it risky there with that Armored Knight taking the swing to finish him off. Does have a decent bank of MP left, but you never know here. Azrael's very close to the next level, and in fact that golem will do it. So we'll see if this puts him any closer to wanting to dive. Level 18, 4 power, 1 speed, 16 hit points, 2 magic points, and indeed he'll immediately abandon the spike tile. So strictly speaking, he's in Death Necklace range, but on 135 attack power you could opt to go with it or without it. And it probably wouldn't make too much difference in the outcome. You should have a pretty good shot to just get this done on his current statistics. As long as Charlock does not prove to be the real boss. We haven't seen the spike tile in the basement yet. That can always be an obstacle. We know we have at least Stone Men with Sleep and Dragon Lord 2 Breath. We know we have Red Dragons with Heal More and Hurt More that have at least a modicum of stop spell resistance. So it's not all said and done yet, but that level did put Azrael in pretty good position to make a dive here to finish this one off. And guess what? Ali went to Vanilla Chest first. And he's picked up the sword for his efforts. So all of a sudden, he's in position that he can kind of try to grind this out and maybe go on level 17. He's going to cast outside, probably go refresh his resources, and we'll see what he opts to do to pick up the next level if he decides to go that route. But with Fairy Water on level 16, that could prove interesting as well. Breckenary is right here. It's the closest town to Charlock, so if you were going to opt to use that strat, this would be a good place to do it. Azrael finding his way through Charlock Castle. There are armored knights in this second zone, could prove to be one of the major obstacles for keeping his resources intact, but on 135 attack power, opting to try to fight through this armored knight instead.
AliGerBrap grinding a little bit though, actually.
It does, although the place he's chosen to do so is curious. Oh, was he waiting? I see what it was. He was waiting for his repel to wear off before he went into Charlock, because he was driving away some of the easy monsters to kill. He might want to try to dive and grind here, might be the idea. He wants to take level 17 on the way down, perhaps. He is pretty close. He's got only about 1200 experience to get there, and he's breaking things like Star Wyverns, Wizards, and Werewolves, which we know we've seen fairly frequently here in Charlock Castle. So Ali diving and grinding is a couple of floors behind AzraelRavenheart. We've got a close one here, even 2 hours and 17 minutes in. This one has stayed reasonably tight most of the way through. Azrael's had an experience lead for a little while now, and an exploration lead as well, but as it turns out, this one's coming down probably to the final few minutes. And we do see some red dragons here in this middle zone as well, so Azrael descends into the third zone. Which looked a little bit tamer than the middle zone. We know there's at least Star Wyverns and Wizards down here, so possibly, and Werewolves too. So certainly the third zone looks a lot less dangerous, and Ali trying to avoid healing on the top floor, but he's going to get jammed up by this Axe Knight and sent back home. Oh man. For as far as you have to get to... Yeah. For as far as that walk is to get back to Charlock, that's really devastating to Ali's chances here. So Azrael looks like he's definitely in the lead here as he's hit the final basement with enough resources to get things done against the Dragon Lord. What remains to be seen is what might be sitting on that boss tile. And we've got an Armored Knight. Has enough HP that he should be able to get through this without having to expend any resources other than perhaps some herbs afterward. So Az is situated really well here. Does have a spare heal to use, has a full 12 heal mores. He's gonna just try to heal walk the rest of this off on the way to the Dragon Lord. Use up one of his 2 remaining herbs. Maybe he's going to go for both. Oh, he is going to go for the Death Necklace here, so that'll bump him up to 145. So on average you would expect to need about 10 hits or so, perhaps 9 if you get fortunate rolls in this fight. So it'll be a quick fight. One way or another, 97's right about the minimum HP that you would want going into the second form of the Dragon Lord. 93 defense, so he doesn't have to worry about melees in the 48 range or anything above that. So this looks pretty good here. Starts it off with a 15. Now 33. big 21 there. That'll take him up to 54. Another 22. That's a max roll there. 76 damage done so far. $88. He should have, at this rate, a lot of magic left over at the end of this fight. He's cruising along pretty well here. There's another one in the 20s, 21. Takes us to 109. $126 total. Yeah, the Dragon Lord himself is powerless to stop him at this point. 144. And that 18 will do it.
GG.
GG, everybody please get your GGs out in chat. AzraelRavenheart's going to be the first one to finish this seed, toppling the Dragon Lord in 9 hits. That's all. 162 damage. Gets it done, and he's going to wrap up what has been a very challenging seed that has been very well played, I feel, by both racers. But AzraelRavenheart's your victor today.
I'm not going to do what I did and walk up the stairs to the throne room.
Yep, just going to head straight to the king. He's got to wait for Gwaelin to come out too. But AzraelRavenheart has come in first place, wins his first round match against AliGerBrap with an official SRL time of 2 hours, 22 minutes, and 2 seconds. Very symmetrical.
I think that's impressive for this seed. I think it would have taken me a bit longer than that.
Yeah, I think I really do mean it when I say it. I think both racers did a nice job in this seed, given the hand that they were dealt here. We were talking about this map most of the seed. I'll be really interested to hear. We are expecting Azrael to be in the commentary booth with us for an interview just momentarily as Ali starts his Charlock dive. But I will be interested to hear from both of them for sure, just their feelings on this seed. It's been a really interesting one. It's been an exciting race too, even though it's was a little bit slow at times in terms of progress, but a lot of interesting strategies deployed at different points, and just a job well done by Azrael to get that one done. Guelph, to answer your question, just a lot of things. There was swamp everywhere. Most of the overworld enemies were Charlock enemies. A lot of them had bad abilities. You had a lot of sleep out there, some hurt more, some heal more. So it was just a lot of things. I mean, anything that possibly could go wrong in a seed. I mean, the sword was in the vanilla location. I didn't get heal more and hurt more until I believe it was level 11. So there were just a lot of challenges in this seed. And to be honest, I think where we ended up coming in around 2 hours 22 minutes, that's better than respectable, I would say. And we are indeed joined by today's victor, AzraelRavenheart. GG to you, sir. What a seed.
Yeah, thank you. That seed was a roller coaster for me, because I felt good at the start with using Hurt, getting really good EXP early, finding that little nook with the really nice Zone 1-2 enemies, and then the, 85 consecutive blocks from the Star Wyverns just to the north there, especially after I pretty much ruled out that everything else to the south and everywhere east and whatnot was just completely blocked. Was just there's nothing there, so it's alright, cool, I have to run through the Star Wyverns. I hope I get through, and I just started feeling progressively further behind, because one good run through and, suddenly you're really far ahead. But then the seed slowed down a little bit, The mid-level Hurtmore kind of also made me feel behind because I had considered hanging out in that little nook until somewhere between level 8 and 10. 10 is a little rough because taking 30 EXP enemies up to 1500 feels bad. But I thought about 9, and I'm pretty sure 9 had Hurtmore. So when I saw Hurtmore, I felt instantly behind again. But then once the seed gets to like an hour and 40, and you've had Hurtmore for, you know, God knows how long, almost an hour plus at that point, you don't feel behind anymore. You feel probably on par because it's more than likely really small nooks that both players are missing. Like for me, it ended up being Jerk Cave because I thought I cleared south of Cantlin, and well, I didn't. So I kind of panicked after I found everything else that was looking for the Jerk Cave.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there were so many things. It's interesting that you were talking about your mindset going through that seed, because if I'm sitting there playing and I'm just going, okay, well, now I'm probably behind and I'm probably behind, but as the map unfolds and you see just the way the terrain is set up and the fact that seemingly every zone had at least 1 or 2 Charlock tier monsters in it. A lot of them had bad abilities. Until you got Stop Spell, it was tough to fight them. It was just a really challenging map to try to get your way around, and it wasn't just you. Ali also had some trouble tracking down the Rainbow Drop Cave, so I mean that was really a really interesting seed and a very challenging seed.
Yeah, that was the jerkiest Jerk Cave I think I have seen in a seed. That thing was tucked real deep and across like multiple bridges. And it's so easy when you go down there and you see that bridge, you're like, oh, this is probably a dead end. Like, you just, like, turn around and, like, leave. Alright, there's nothing down there. And then, of course, there's, like, the 1 in 1,000 seed where that's where, like, Jerk Cave is. But, yeah, all the Sherlock enemies just all over the map. A lot of them had bad abilities. Red Dragons, I was like, alright, you know, I have Heal More, I can fight them. And then I realized that they have the Poo-Poo Platter. And I'm like, well, I can actually kill them without Stop Spell now. So I guess I'm going to try to run from them, which they're Red Dragons. It's awful. Yeah, Poo-Poo Platter is what I call Heal More plus Hurt More. Because it's just, like, the Hurt More can at least keep up with your damage. I mean, Hurt More and them attacking you is about the same. But the fact that you just, like, if you're trying to Heal More your way through a Red Dragon, you pretty much can't kill it if it has Heal More. So you have to run, at least until you get to Stop Spell. And even after Stop Spell, they seemed like they had pretty decent Stop Spell resist. So I was kind of resolving to cast Stop Spell once, and if it stuck, I'd kill them, and if it didn't stick, I'd try to run. Since they were really friendly on run luck this seed. Like, surprisingly. And very few AK-47s as well to run block, so except a little bit in Sherlock, that's about it. And I see Ali is in the Dragon Lord fight at 17, which, that was something I stopped and looked at, was like, this is so coin flippy, I can't Death Necklace, and if I can finish this fight, it's gonna come down to the last Heal More. And damage rolls, very, very potentially. So, because we had Breckenary right next to Hawksness, and Golems were pretty friendly, and I knew I had the power to just kind of chunk through Golems and heal more myself, I elected to go to 18 because it was pretty quick, and sure enough, 18 was not enough MP for another heal more, but enough HP for the Death Necklace, and that made the fight free.
Absolutely. So speaking of free fights, Ali was counting that one right down to the wire there because he had a heal more left, but he opted to swing anyway and finish that one off. He knew exactly where he was in that fight. So he finishes off the Dragon Lord, and he will finish with an official SRL time of, I need to move my window, good job Archfield, 2:29:52. So GG to AliGerBrap. Really, both of you raced that one, I feel, really well. A very challenging seed. So we'll see if we can get Ali in here to talk about this a little bit as well. But I'm glad you talked about your strategy at the end there. We were wondering, how close you felt that level 17 was. But the golems, as you said, they're actually pretty fast. They're kind of underrated as a grind, I think, when you're in that position that you were in.
Yeah, we had more than enough to just chew through them with attacks and heal more. So you didn't even need to fairy float them. You could just actually ground and pound, heal more outside of battle, like I was doing for the beginning there. And then one of them just like super high rolled me multiple times, and I low rolled them. So I was like, all right, that threw my rhythm off because I had to heal more in the middle of the combat.
Exactly. So we do have Ali in the booth with us now. GG2.
Thank you.
Man, give us your initial impressions of that seed. It just feels like there's so much to talk about from what happened in that one. But I mean, a really incredible race to watch, just as the map and the enemy zones and everything else just made that a very challenging one to get through.
Yeah, it was super challenging. I mean, there are like a lot of places, and like I couldn't figure out the count for like a while. I didn't know where it was, and like it was countable, but like I couldn't see where I needed to go to like be able to continue the count, and like I had to save the princess. That wasn't fun. I just knowing the armor was there, I was hoping it was the sword though, because like if it was the sword, it's not as bad. Because like once I figured out I had the second Curse belt, I knew that like sword or armor would be in Charlock. So the question was which one was which, and like once you figure out it's the armor, you're like, oh, that's not good, because like if Azrael was able to count it, I'm in big trouble.
Yeah, as it turned out, yeah, that was one of the things I was going to ask both of you about, because that's one of the most difficult 13-13 counts I think I've ever seen.
So I initially ran over to, like, after I got the coordinates, and then I was like, okay, this is countable. I wiped on the barrier tiles. I went back to castle. I started counting it, and I was like, of course, it's water blocked, right? But it was like 8-8 or 9-8 or something right at the edge of the water. So I kind of like visualized it, and I'm like, all right, I don't know where that is on the second continent, because I had barely been on the second continent. So I elected to try saving the princess. It was Stone Men. They had Big Breath, if I'm not mistaken. So I actually kind of went for double hurt more, and if one failed, I would just run and heal and do it again. Thankfully, it only took me 2 tries. I got the princess, was wandering around the second continent, noticed that I was 99% sure I had found the other side of the coordinates, forgot that I had saved Gwaelin, counted it, and was I think I searched, like, where I had thought it was, I think I searched, like, 6 or 7 of the, like, 3x3 block around it before I found the overworld item. And then, like, as I was walking away, I was like, you idiot, you have Gwaelin's love. Why did you count that? Why didn't you just hit the item and know where it was?
Yeah, I speculated at the time. I'm just like, this seed has been going on so long. I think he forgot that he has the GPS on him.
Yep, that's exactly what it was.
Have we ever figured out where Rimildar was? I never saw it.
It was... I'll let Azrael tell you. He knows where it was.
It was directly to the southwest of the castle, through the swamp that had Charlock enemies. I had actually found it pretty early using a couple herbs from the castle, and saw that it had broadsword plus chainmail. I ghetto gold grinded the treasury because it had the magic key in the 1 gold chest to get both of those. Got over to Rimildar in, I think, 2 attempts, got the items, and then ended up coming back very shortly after because I got enough in Grave done the first time I dove Grave to gold grind for the Silver Shield.
Yeah, so I mean, that was really interesting too. I was thinking about that kind of toward the end there, Ali, because you had not seen Rimulder. So were you sweating possibly that the sword was in that chest that you hadn't found yet?
Yeah, that was one other thing, and I was like, okay, there were like 7 chests here, 1 in Rimildar. I'm hoping that it's there, but yeah, like it's. And I'm kind of surprised I didn't see that the Rimildar though.
It was close, but I mean, there were red dragons and armored knights, I think, in that zone on the way there, and just all the swamp. So before, level, I don't even know what. It was very treacherous to try to get down there.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think 11 is the first level where you had heal more, and like before that, it was like pretty much okay. Like, can you get somewhere without dying, and like, can you kill things? That was not that fun.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the
like-
no healing hurts so long.
You basically kill 2 rogue scorpions and then die and do it over again.
Yep, and that's what started to make me feel behind in the mid game, because I knew I could kill the rogue scorpions before we had heal more or hurt more, but I wasn't crazy about it because it was like kill 1 and maybe a second if you're lucky and then die. So I was kind of caught between like trying to get them on the way through and trying to get back to the cave, because I had seen Swamp Cave on the map, but I didn't go into it, and then I think I got ganked by a red dragon. And so it's like, oh god, what is that cave? Like, is it freebie cave? Is it like freebie sword? Is it mountain and I can get through and get 5 checks? I had no clue what it was, so I was like really torn between getting back to what ended up being Swamp Cave and trying to get whatever EXP I could along the way. And like, you didn't want to grind rogue scorpions because star wyverns were there and they would just promptly kill you. So it was a coin flip on, like, try to run through, maybe you get a rogue scorpion. If the rogue scorpion ambushes you, you're probably dead anyways. Or you're as close to dead as you can be. But yeah, Rimeldar was about 1 screen south of the castle and 2 full screens west. So you had to go pretty deep into the swamp, requiring I believe, 2 herbs early on in order to get there. And I found it, I was like, of course it's Rimeldar, why can't it be like Cole or something? It has to be Keytown when we have free keys.
Yeah, also that there's a thing, I didn't find it, so like I was pretty much grinding and I was hoping for gold to be able to have keys, so that was also one of the things, because I didn't want to open the treasury early, because I knew it was good for me.
Now, do you not open the treasury at the start? Because the first thing I did when I got the key in return was I just immediately saved so that I could check treasury, and then treasury ended up being 700 gold and another key, and that just immediately was just like, go crack open the back door, buy 6 keys, and pretend Rimeldar doesn't exist, pretty much.
Yeah, that's probably another mistake I did, because like if I had gold early, I could probably have bought more things early on. Like just knowing that you had a key and gold and herb and like even a fair water, like that can do a lot. And like,
yeah,
that's like a big help if you know that, oh, you've got this thing. So like, it doesn't matter if you die, you can just get things like that will help you to like kill something later. So I would understand that. I just totally blank. I'm like, yeah, well, I want enough to buy a second key, and I don't know why I thought about that though.
Yeah, anytime you can get out of the throne room with a key, I always tend to save so that I can check treasury, and if treasury is complete garbage, or like just quest items and herbs or something like that that you don't need at the early point of the game, then I'll reset so I can keep my key. But I think it's always worth saving and then going down and checking treasury, because if you do get a second key or, key plus gold or anything like that seed had, you can crack open the back door and actually get your key access and not sweat finding Rimeldar anymore. And that's really, really big early on. And then, like I had mentioned, you might not have actually been in the chat yet, I did the, minor, ghetto gold grind, going in and out of the castle to reset the treasury so that I could grab the gold chest 3 times and buy the broadsword and the chainmail over in Rimeldar once I had found it.
Yeah, so I think, I mean, that was just, there's a lot of things that I could still talk about in this seed, but we've covered a lot of the main points, I think. Do either of you have anything else that you want to add before we probably get ready to wrap things up here?
I'll just throw out. I had mentioned it earlier, but for all the newer runners, because we have so many newer runners in this tournament, when you get a seed similar to this one, where like Hurtmore will come at like a middle level, or you'll have bad exploration and you feel really far behind, but then that seed drags on to like the hour 20, hour 30 mark, and your opponent has not done. Get your confidence back. Like, the seed is gonna be bad for both of you, and if your opponent hasn't done at like an hour 20, hour 30 in a seed like that, and it's starting to grind on, you're not as far behind as you might get in your own head and think you are. And being inside your own head and just like, I'm so far behind, you're gonna make bad decisions. You're going to maybe try to take fights that you shouldn't. You might try to go for the Dragon Lord a level earlier, and it might just not be in the cards unless everything in the RNG universe sides with you. So just like calm yourself back down when you get to that hour 40 mark, because that's what this seed was. I felt super far behind the second I saw Hurtmore, and then by the time I started getting anywhere on the second continent, I felt even further behind. But then the hour 40 mark came through, and I'm like, I'm at least equal. This seed is so bad, I can't possibly be that far behind. And that kind of calmed me back down and just got me back to focusing on finding the last little bits that I needed, figuring out where I needed to get my EXP when 15 and 16 weren't enough, and just going from there. So just don't let yourself get in your head when the seed is bad, because if it's still going on, it's just as bad for the other person.
Excellent advice, I think.
Mhm.
Ali, do you have anything else?
Well, I just checked who I'm facing next round, so it will be hard, but like honestly, like it's like I probably need to practice a bit more and just like make some better decisions early on, and like think like my mid game wasn't bad because like just figure out like the zone where I found Magiwyvern and not Magiwyvern, yeah, Magi. Wait, which is I forgot the enemies, but like the mid table enemies I really like, Dwin Lords and the enemy that looks like a droll, but I forgot the name.
Joel
But
Magi?
like, yeah, Droll Magi. Yeah, that's the one. Yeah, and like just like try to find where you can grind, and like I thought that I had like decent knowledge where to grind. I don't know if it was as good against Azrael because I didn't see how he did compare. I want to see how he did compared to myself. And next time I'll be, you know what, I think I probably have a bye next week. I probably play in 2 weeks. Like it will be a hard race though. I can't wait to face whoever I'm going to face next time though.
Yeah, absolutely. So we've got a double elimination tournament here, of course. Azrael will move on to face the number 8 seed JJ Schmidt in the second round. Ali will drop down to the lower bracket. We'll have an opponent that's yet to be determined, but I just want to thank you both for taking the time to talk to us today. It was really an interesting seed to watch, a very challenging one for both of you, and I think you both acquitted yourselves quite well today.
Thank you. Yeah, the race against JJ I'm looking forward to, because I believe the last tournament I was in, JJ was the one that sent me packing. So looking forward to a rematch with JJ. It's going to be a hard one for sure.
All right, so I just want to take a moment to give a shout out to the rest of our team here today. MathGirl718 was your restreamer. CyberDark86 was our tracker, and Pellador, thank you so much for being in the booth alongside me today. It was a real pleasure.
It's been my pleasure as well. I've really enjoyed it.
I'm glad to hear it. So, with that, I'm not quite sure where we're sending you next. It is a packed schedule today. We do have a couple of matches that are already underway. We've got had 6 total today. Some of the ones that had started around the same time ours did is long since finished. But this channel will be live again shortly because Randomania at let's see, 9 o'clock Eastern, 6 o'clock Pacific. So just in about 15 minutes, you'll be seeing a match between Fryteeth and Cube God HS. So Fryteeth, of course, a veteran, has played in the previous winter tournament. Cube God HS, relatively new to the scene, so that should be an interesting match to tune into. Right now, we've also got a couple more going on, one over on Randomania 2 at minimum. And then we've got one final match tonight, last match of the night, 10 Eastern, 7 Pacific. Will be on RPG Limit Break, featuring Edgestream and Centroid 41. That's setting up to be a really good match. So make sure you don't miss any of the action. You can always, of course, check the schedule links there in chat. But on behalf of my commentary partner, Pellador, and everyone else here on the Game Day staff and at Randomania, I want to thank you for watching today. Have a good day and take care. Tempt not the fates.
I agree.